Alright guys, so we have closed above the 112.8k level on the daily, the thing I've been discussing for the past few videos. Things are looking very good right now. You can see we're out of the orange zone on the traffic light system, and now we're into the green. So we have that daily close above 112.8, and kind of what we're looking for now is chasing longs on momentum and playing strength on outlier altcoins. Now stick around because I'm going to be covering my key altcoin setups that I'm watching at the moment, as well as the only chart you need to watch right now for if you think we're going to get some sort of big alt rallies, and I'll get to that later in the video. As always, my name is Paradise. I'm a price action and momentum trader in the Mars High Club, link in the description. And also please like and subscribe to this video and also ding that notification bell. So let's jump into some charts. All right, so now we have that close. As stated, what we are looking for, if we go to the more simplified chart, which I drew last time, you can actually see that last night, I don't know if you follow my Twitter, but you probably should. I posted this chart. So basically, it was just equal high pockets, equal low pockets. Because we had PPI last night, we have CPI tonight. Generally in those sort of events, you sometimes get some sort of whipsaw of liquidity and it comes down, flushes out the other side, something like this. This would have been a big move because it's a 12-hour chart. But you can see we have all these stacked lows down here. So there's, liquidity inducement. We have equal lows at the bottom. We had equal highs at the top. So the important thing is we closed above those wick highs. So those wick highs are 113.3. And my market structure break level is at 112.8, which is based on the line chart. So bodies versus wicks. So either way you look at it, there was no sweep. We closed above the equal highs. And we have now shifted structure on the 12-hour. We're above the 12-hour Noodle, which has been capping price the whole way down. And if you watched the last video, all I'm looking for is for this low volume node to be filled in here up into the high volume node at around 117.8. You can also see it's the former range and cluster of resistance. So I move up into that. That's where I think we go from here. But in terms of sort of intraday, I'm just looking for a pullback into this level here. So if we get that pullback back into the 112.8k level, I think that's a bid. Obviously, we have CPI tonight, so that, PPI is important, but CPI is more important. The reaction to PPI was good, but CPI, we just don't know yet. If we get a bad print, we might indeed come and whipsaw down and flush some lows out, flush some late longs. But I think right now, with how things look, really all I'm looking for is potentially to come down to that 113 level, the 112.8, and maybe just take out some sort of this FVG in here, this inefficiency. So we fill that into the 1 hour Noodle, the 1 hour trend. That's where I'll look to compound my position. I'm in a starter position on the break above, but I'm looking to add more size as we get down into that. Over to Ethereum, obviously we didn't get that flush down into the 4K box I posted in the last video, but we are at an interesting spot right now. So we've just been holding this daily demand. It's been holding it very well, especially with the daily trend. So I go down to something like the 4 hour. You can see this green line right here is just a pivot line. So when I talk about pivots, you can see basically the sort of reactions from above and below. We're just sort of chopping through it. So there's nothing really action here, but as long as we're below it, there's no real reason to long. But now we're sort of starting to print above it. I think maybe ETH has a bit of a catch-up play in it. It just remains to be seen. So there's nothing to action yet. I think in terms of where you would look for that sort of action to occur, I think a close above this level here at 44.20, just because it's obviously capping price the whole way. Now if we start to get above that, I think we can start marking up higher. And maybe this is just a bit of a late follower to what BTC has done. But once again, just please tread with caution. CPI is the last sort of overhang hurdle we have for the week that maybe you sort of decide where price goes. I think once we get past that, we'll see the true direction of where the market's going to go. All right, so on to Solana, my new best friend. We talked about that monthly level. I think I've been discussing this monthly level that we look to break through for the past 8 videos or something. I'm always covering it. So we actually finally broke above it. We bounced off daily trend. Really nice move up so far. And if you watched the last video, I said I was looking for a flip of this prior structure level at 220 to get, sort of more credence that we're going to go up to 250. 250 is the weekly resistance level. You can see up here. And I think that is on the cards now. So I'm pretty positive on this setup. Now, I think all I'm looking for, I don't really want to compound. I have quite a big position down from 208. If you're not in this position, I think momentum is sort of stalling across things. So you can see on the RSI right here, we're not really, I guess it is sort of a bearish divergence printing as we grind up. Sometimes in bull markets, these things actually resolve to the upside. You'll keep seeing the RSI get pegged down as price grinds up and it just pops. But I think just for now, as we sort of still have this CPI news looming over us, we may get lucky. So right now, all I'm looking for with this, some sort of flush down to around 220, maybe a bit below it. Here's that trade I discussed earlier. So up quite nicely now, 208 up to 225, obviously looking to take profit at 250. If you're not in this trade, I think you're just looking for a flush. I think flushes will be bought up quite quickly because Solana has all the attention on it right now. Sometimes when you mark your POIs, your points of interest lower, they obviously get front run because there's too much demand in the market for certain assets. And I think Solana is one of those because it's outperforming BTC and ETH right now in terms of majors, I should say. For me right now, all I'm looking for, we have this H1 demand down here. We have the H1 Noodle just above it. Maybe we get some sort of flush down here. We tag the previous month's high, maybe the Monday high, get back above this level. I think this makes a nice place to accumulate, targeting that 250 region that we marked out on the weekly chart up here. Just a quick segue, as I posted that trade on Solana. I've been posting a lot lately in the Mars High Club in my chart analysis and setups channel. Fartcoin, Sui, Litecoin, cut that break even. It's because I didn't see what I wanted to. Obviously, regular updates on Sol, more on Sui, more on Fartcoin. I've got a really nice one on Zora. I can see M was a nice short, Zora, Sui, Sol. So just sort of adding to these things, giving regular updates, and that's what you can expect in the group if you want to join, link in the description. Yeah, so you can see my focus is mostly on things with strong structure at the moment and just sort of compounding onto strong entries. And I think that's the sort of best thing you can do in this market. You don't want to spread yourself too thin, just trying to long anything on the day that is absolutely pumping and having like 10 alt positions to manage. I think find things with very good setups and just manage them appropriately and smartly. And if you find opportunities to add to those to increase your position size, that's better than sort of having too much dispersion in your portfolio. All right, so on to some alts I'm watching. Obviously, I'm not going to go through all of them. Obviously, I have a big watch list of things I'm watching within the group, but I just think for now, I'm just going to post some daily charts and things that look strong. Obviously, AVAX, this broke out of like a 220-day range with a daily close above it. You can see the impulse above it was quite strong. So this has just been building, grinding up this trend line for ages, grinding up the daily Noodle for ages, and finally got that pop. We actually have like a volume inefficiency that we're kind of sitting in the middle of right now, up into around $32. That actually extends all the way up to like 36, and I think 40 is a nice psychological round number. This is a position I considered entering last night, but it did not. Obviously, it's had a very nice pop since then. So I'm just doing the standard thing I taught you guys last video, just looking for that pullback in line with key levels. Obviously in here, we have a 4-hour FEG, which we can target. We also have just under the previous month's high. If we go down to the hourly, you can actually see that H1 Noodle has come up into that 4-hour FEG. Also sort of displaying these bearish divergences again. So maybe CPI tonight gives us a nice flush. I'll be looking for entries down into things like the previous month's high, somewhere in this FEG. You can also see around the previous month's high, we have this nice H1 demand cluster down here. So maybe that might be the better target. This was where you can set some stink bids. That's actually also near where the breakout level was. So any sort of move into that, I think makes for a nice play up into that $32 region and possibly beyond. Hype, we went over it last video too. Just simply still looking for that H4 pullback, Monday high, previous month's high there. I also have the H4 Noodle in there currently. Once again, we have a bit of momentum diverging. So just looking for that sweep. Maybe we get it, maybe we don't. Have some bids ready, but that's all I'm watching for right now. That starts around $51, $52. MNT is one I charted a long time ago with Miles on one of the joint streams I did with him. It was down here somewhere. I believe it was actually this. We were just looking for this deviation reclaim. So this actually ended up being a very clean deviation. Once we started to get back above that, all we were looking for the retest there. Now, I didn't actually catch this because I was on holiday, but that was such a beautiful retest. And look at the move it's given it. It's now in price discovery. You know, when things are bullish across the whole market and you have things in price discovery, there's no overhead supply. You've got no overhead resistance. So sort of the sky's the limit. It just sort of goes until it doesn't. So these are sort of coins you want to be in. Because if you look at a chart like AVAX, although I'm saying it's a good setup between these 2 points, there's still overhead supply in here. So there's resistance levels all through here. You can picture a lot of people bought up here, bought here, bought here, and they're holding their bags through, looking to get out of break even. So as price tries to go up in a straight line, it's constantly hampered by finding points of resistance and has retraces. Now, if it's strong enough, it'll push through all that. But I just think MNT makes for a nice setup because it no longer has any of that. So all we're looking for is just momentum trades on this. We have a very nice 4-hour demand down here. So I think that could make for good pullbacks, obviously at the breakout level. And then we're just looking for continuation into psychological round numbers. I think actually $2 makes for a phenomenal play if you can get up there, if this momentum sustains. Now onto the one chart I think you need to watch for altcoin rallies, as I discussed in the beginning of the video. Is the others chart. So others is basically an index of the total market cap of everything excluding BTC and Ethereum. I'm sure many of you are familiar with total charts as well. So Total 3 also does that, but Total 3 includes stable coins. Others does not. So this is just purely altcoins, right? So why I like this so much right now, I just think this is such a bullish setup. Now, if you picture this as just a generic altcoin, this would be a textbook setup that I would long. And we actually saw a similar sort of setup in AVAX, right? Have this grinding upwards compression into a key level. So you may say doing TA on an index is a meme, but I think in terms of support and resistance, it's not. If you're using things like order blocks and whatnot, then yes, it is, because it's a synthetic index that requires an order book. So you can't really have order blocks. But you know, supply and demand doesn't work so much. But in terms of support and resistance, these levels are respected quite a lot. So you can see this grindy price action up into it. We actually had somewhat of a, you know, a breakout down here. But I think this 326 billion level is kind of the line on the sand. We have all these sort of untapped highs up here. So I think once we start to get above this level and accept above it, we're going to see some big rallies in altcoins. And I think that's, you know, if you're not in yet, I think you can actually wait for the confirmation on this. And this is where you can really start to have some credence that we're going to go much, much higher. So this is the second chart to that. This is others dominance. You know, this shows a percentage share of the total crypto market cap that, you know, those altcoins make up. You can kind of picture the index above the others chart as like the size in dollars. And you can picture the dominance chart as like the share of the pie, I guess you could say. But once again, this is offering a really nice setup. So we're just, flipping this key pivot level here. We once again did that grindy compression up, and look what happened. Just like the AVAX chart, just like we're looking for with the others chart, we want to see that grindy compression and eventually get that pop up. And we've had it on this. We had this key low over here. If I extend this across, there's actually a big resistance level, but I'll just keep it local for now. So once again, this is looking really promising too. This is showing a lot more volume and sort of interest coming back into altcoins. So I think as long as this holds and BTC doesn't puke, and BTC continues to go up. Now, obviously, if BTC continues to go up, there'll be a bit of a slow on this, but I think once that sort of stalls again and tops out, I think we'll see these things really rally, and that's where you can really have your sort of barometer line in the sand of where you want to be in altcoins. Now, in terms of which altcoins you want to bid, this is an indicator which we are currently building in the Mars High Club. I'm just testing the beta right now, but basically this is a spaghetti chart like I've showed you before in the last video, but this is for indexes, this is for categories. So instead of a spaghetti chart as like one line per altcoin, this is a line per index. So, DPIN, RWA, L2s, DeFi, DEX, and whatnot. So you can see DPIN is leading right now off the daily open. If I actually go into DPIN, it is number 5 on the index. This will take a second to load. But you can see once it loads, it shows all the indexes on the left-hand side table. So this shows that DPIN is outperforming today. Now, if we want to know within DPIN which coins we should long, we go to the right-hand table. You can see ATH, HNT, and Peak are all sort of leading, but like obviously ATH and HNT are the key leaders here. So if I didn't have them on my watch list, I now know to add them because this is the strongest sector on the day from the daily open. And now we know within that sector which the strongest horses are and which ones we want to play. So once again, in beta testing, but if you want access to this, it should be available very soon. Mars High Club, link in the description. Other than that, I'm going to leave it there. That was a quick market outlook. I hope you guys are all very well. Be wary of CPI tonight, but I think if we don't have any sort of harsh rejection off that, then it leads for a very nice sort of rally scenario into the weekend. Please like and subscribe, hit the notification bell, and I will catch you in a few days. Cheers.